Hi, friends. How is everyone on this fabulous Thursday? I hope we're all doing fabulous. I have a secret to tell you, so don't judge me. But I spilled some shit on my shirt, and then I put my stain remover stuff on it, so I got a stain, but I'm not going to change my shirt. Do you care? I don't think you care. Hence why I'm here with my dirty shirt. I just did it. I had one of those little baby oranges. I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. They're really easy to peel. Oh, I got juice on my shirt. So what are we doing on this Thursday? Living our best lives? Let's talk about manifestation. Tammy Hurley. I don't know why, but when I read your name quickly, I thought it said Tammy Turley. And I'm like, oh my God. Same last name. Are we related? Just saying. Thank you, Limitless Queen. Betch. How are you? It's telling me everybody's joined. Am I doing something wrong? Why can't I see anything? Somebody write me. There we go. Thank you, Limitless. I'm like, can't I not see anything? There we go. We have like a half hour. So let's power out some manifestation stuff. And then at 7:15, I'm going to go live on my YouTube channel. So you're all invited to come over there too if you want. Can't lie, irritated by the 3D because of communication with SP. Is there a total lack thereof? Or is it just not as often as you would prefer? Thank you to the person that just followed me. It tells me who's following me now. God, TikTok, you're upgrading. Just saying. Thank you, Moonlight. I can't see the rest of your name. Thank you. It's one-sided. Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like you have to be the one to keep reaching out? Or else do you feel like he's not going to respond? Or he's going to forget about you? Yes? Okay. You don't. You do not. But I know that's not always easy to believe when you're in the midst of things. I know this. Listen, I'm going to tell you, first of all, when I first started dating my own dude, I remember thinking to myself, I just want to hit fast forward. I just want to press the fast forward button and get to the place where I don't give a shit about the communication. I don't care about the text messages. Now, I don't mean I don't care about the person. I don't mean like that. I want to be in the mind space where I don't have to worry about this, that I just know that we have a great communication. And it's not a question of whether this person is going to reach out first or not. I want to press fast forward. Okay, so now let's really press fast forward and let's get to right now. Okay? We're in the fast forward land right now. Well, you can access that in your mind right now, Batch. Right now. You're getting frustrated, which is exactly how I used to feel. You're getting frustrated, but it's coming from the state that you're embodying that's making you feel like if I don't do it, he won't. Do you see what I mean? So the energy, if we want to talk about energy, my last coaching call we talked about was energy, so I'm still in energy mode. The energy that's coming off of you is, right, the match of your state. So think about it like this. When you're in a mindset of where you don't believe that the other person is going to do the reaching out, and couple that with the fear of, if I don't reach out to this person, they're going to forget about me. Just that inherent fear. And then maybe you've tested it. Like you've tried to make yourself not reach out for let's say a whole day. And they disappointed you. They didn't end up texting you. So that left you feeling disappointed, let down. Granted, you didn't say this to me, Betch, so I'm just giving an example. So hold on. I just want to check to see if you've written anything else to me. You're right. Okay, good. So I know it's hard when we've already tested it and the bastard didn't end up texting. Your trust has been broken there. And I get that. But now here's the annoying part. So I'm not trying to annoy you, but I'm just keeping it real. We don't control the unfolding. Now, I know that you know that that's the basic answer that everybody gives. Well, most everybody gives in the manifestation community. And it does sound like a cop-out answer. At least that's how I used to feel. So I understand if you feel that way. But I promise you, it's not a cop-out. We don't control the unfolding. So the how and when this person starts showing up and treating you right, treating you like you are his queen, we don't control when that happens. We control our end of it. We control who we are. So I am certainly not telling you that you have to stop texting your person. I'm not telling you you have to do that. It's up to you what you do. At minimum, you have to change your state. You have to remind yourself of who the hell you are. You are a woman that is worthy and deserving of being pursued, not you doing the work of the pursuer. That's not your job. Not your job anymore. So personally, I would scale back on me reaching out until I am assured that I am in the state of being the self that knows, A, what you deserve, and that you are the self that is in the reality of you being in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. Now, when someone has already let us down on the communication end, it's very easy to start having a story that that person is just that way, right? So now we've got that label on him. You can think of it like it's a Post-it note you've stuck to him. Reaches out for shit. Isn't a good texter. Isn't a good communicator. No. That's just reflections of state, right? That's just a reflection of your shift in states. It's not because he really sucks. So if you really like this person and you want to continue seeing this person, then it is your job to start putting the focus on who the hell you are, girl. You are a woman who deserves and is by far worthy of being in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. And you start telling yourself that. You start telling yourself that. Listen, when we're in a state where we're already frustrated, it's hard to believe that we're ever going to get into that state where we're ever going to feel confident about reality. But you will get there. You will get there. And he will start showing up right. It's not because you can't have this. It's not because you can't have this relationship. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But, and this goes for anybody manifesting a specific person, when you're in that fear energy of, I have to do this in order to keep the communication going, we're already in a state we don't want to be in. Especially if a part of your manifestation is to be pursued. I am telling you, I would bet money that if you got yourself into that state of consciousness, your person would start showing up differently. And you would be happy with the communication. But it's very easy to slip back into that 3D thinking and, get attached to what's happening in the 3D. It is so easy to do that because we've been conditioned to do that. Our whole life, we have been taught, we have been conditioned to look at our 3D, see what's happening, and make a decision from there. Where manifesting is the complete opposite. It's backing away from what the senses are telling us and putting the focus back on imagination. And obviously, we don't want to bring our circumstances, the ones we don't like, I'm talking about, into imagination with us, right? We don't want to bring them there. Because the imagination, I like to think of, is that is where we are connected to God, universe, higher power, source energy, moonbeams, your subconscious mind, whatever you personally believe it is. Your imagination is like that golden chalice, that golden, beautiful room of where you're deciding the next thing you're going to experience in reality. So we don't want to bring our circumstances in there. We don't want to think about how our person sucks at communication. We don't want to bring that to our imagination because we don't want to keep experiencing that. When we let ourselves get carried away in our imagination, now I know we've also been conditioned to think we're just fantasizing or we're just daydreaming. No, you're not. Your imagination is your power. It's your connection to source. So bring to imagination all the things you want to experience. Think of yourself being on the receiving end of how you want to be treated by your person. This person blowing up your phone, begging you to go out with them. Start imagining that and think about how that would feel. And get lost in it. Get carried away in your imagination from a place of it being light and fun. That's not always easy to do when we're in the middle being frustrated with the 3D though. So don't judge yourself. But your person will change. But you are not a baby manifester either. You know what you're doing. You know how to do this. And you're good at it. Sometimes we just need to be reminded that we're good at this. And you are. You do. I know you're laughing, but you know it's true too. You're good at this. Time to remind yourself of who the hell you are. Right? Time to remember who you really are and start showing up like her and not letting this dumb version of your person get to you. Because you can flip it right on its head. Thank you very much, Gabs. I saw some things going across the screen, so thank you to everybody who's been sending me things. Thank you for the hearts, too. That makes me feel nice. He's always shown me affection, so I know he can. See? You already have examples, aka you already have memories of his good side. You already know that version of him exists. You need to bring your focus back to that version of him. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. When you're manifesting a specific person and you're in contact with them, so you have connection, I don't care. It can feel difficult. It can feel difficult. When they're not fully showing up the way we really, really want them to, it can feel hard. It can knock, the best manifestors on their ass. It can. So you can't beat yourself up because you're letting it get to you. But the moment you start to feel bad, the moment you start to feel uncomfortable, that's the moment to remember who the hell you are, to remind yourself, and to think about the version of your specific person that you prefer to encounter in reality so that he can show up as that version of himself. Remember, everything you're experiencing out here, and this is to anybody just joining, remember your reality around you is your reflection, but the reflection of your state of consciousness. So when specific people are not showing up so amazing, it can be so easy to forget that. And then we start believing that person just is like that. That's just who they are. They're just being bastards. They can't help themselves. Or the worst, they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it to hurt our feelings. They're doing it to not choose us. No, they're not. That can make us feel cuckoo. But no, they're not. Remember, they're reflecting what you believe about yourself, what you believe about love, relationships, how you expect to be treated in relationships, and what you believe about that person, which is why I say when they're not showing up the way you want, it is so easy to start that new story, right? Like a new tentacle coming out, a new story of, well, this is his personality. This is how he is. And that's where we stumble in our little manifesting SP journeys. That's where we stumble because we're forgetting who we really are. Remember, everyone's true self is source, pure, unadulterated consciousness. We also tend to forget that, and that's our most important piece of information, is knowing that we are that, and from there, we get to choose which version of ourselves we are. 3D can sometimes make us feel like we don't have an option in that choice. But that's not true. We're always choosing. We're selecting every new moment. who we are. If we want a specific person to show up and love us and choose us, then we need to step into that identity in that state of consciousness, the version of us that expects to be treated that way. That is our normal, right? Relationships for us, it's normal to be treated with love, affection, attention, respect, with all the, words you want to hear, the words that make you feel good. You start telling yourself that's who you are. Reality reflects. But we also get tripped up on, let's say, we'll continue with Batch for a minute here, Limitless Queen. So she wants the improvement on the communication part. She wants the contact to be better. Outside of what I already mentioned, how it's very easy to start believing that the specific person sucks at communication. No, that's a story from how we're perceiving our reality. And things don't always unfold exactly the way we think they should. And sometimes when we're not getting the contact we want, we assume that means that something's wrong. My manifestation isn't working because SP is showing up like a twat today. No. There's nothing wrong. We need to remember who the hell we are. Remember what state we're choosing. And to let the 3D go. That's not always easy. That doesn't always feel comfortable. But the less we're clutching 3D reality, the easier it flows, which is what we want it to do. Flow. We don't judge the 3D. We don't assume because the contact sucks today that means this isn't working anymore. No. Return to your decision. Return to who you are. You do that, and I'm telling you, it's going to turn right around. And you'll start getting the contact you want, I'm telling you. It can be that fluid. It can be that malleable, your 3D reality. It's not always so easy to trust that, but you experience it a couple of times. You start realizing, holy shit, it really is reflecting my state. It's really reflecting what I believe about myself today, in this moment. We're always in charge. Doesn't always feel that way. Oh my God. Thank you for the auto renewal subscription. Thank you very much. I haven't even said on here what I'm going to do with those yet. That is so lovely. I appreciate that. Just so you know, my intentions is I will be doing more live streams over here. And if you are subscribed, you and I are going to be communicating through here first. So in other words, like say I go live for an hour, subscribers, I'm going to be in like subscriber mode only for like the first half hour. That's so far. I have more things coming, but for the so far. So thank you. Like I said, I haven't even announced that yet. So to all of you who have, I really appreciate you. That was very nice. And I see that a couple of you just started following me. Thank you so much. It just made my night. I appreciate it. And the gifts, Jesus, you guys are good to me. Thank you. I don't take any of that shit for granted, just so you know. I don't take it for granted. This is you choosing to be kind to me. It's much appreciated. I'm very grateful for that stuff. Seriously. I don't think I say it enough. Tips on minimizing triggers and returning to the state when you live with SP, but are separated in 3D. Okay. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. All right. So you live with your SP, but in the 3D, you two are separated, but you still technically live together. All right. Now listen, let's just keep it real. When you got to face that kind of a circumstance where you got to see your person every single day, that can feel difficult. So our state is going to be our most top priority. The only reason why I'm wording it that way is because the 3D, if we're not staying aware, thank you, Betch. If we're not staying aware, at minimum staying in the observer mode, we can get our asses kicked by 3D. We can be fooled. Like your person showing up and telling you, I don't want to be in a relationship. That doesn't feel good. You guys, I'm like a child with these things. Thank you. So you have to be mindful, because I don't care what your specific person says. I don't care what they say. If you keep your focus, your awareness on who you want to be, I know for some of us this might be too woo-woo, but they don't have an option. They have to reflect who you are. The tricky part, and I only call it tricky because this is where we stumble most of the time. Thank you. Where we stumble is when we have to see them every day and they're not showing up acting any different. You know, we're going to use you as the example. I believe it's Rachel. When SP is still showing up saying, you know, I don't want the relationship. I still don't want to be with you. I still don't want that, Rachel. It can be easy to really, really believe that that's solid, that that's cemented, that's unchanging. It can feel that way. You have to remember, what is the most common thing that anybody who has ever talked about manifestation, I'm not talking about in this decade, I'm talking about hundreds of years ago and back. What is one of the main things they say? Denying your senses. Not accepting in reality as anything is final. Now, you can accept what you're experiencing. You can be aware of what's happening in reality. But being aware that this is what's happening in my 3D right now doesn't have to determine what state you're in. So as far as minimizing the triggers, it is staying in observer mode as often as possible. And it is a lot easier to do than most people think. If in my head, what I see as a visual is literally like my brain kind of splitting off into two. And I see one side as my basic bitch. This is how I'm going to move around reality. I'm going to utilize my senses to help me just move around reality. But the other half is my imagination. It's my 4D. It's my truth. It's who I really am. So I can interact. We're going to keep using you as example. You can be interacting with him, respecting his wishes at this time. Or we're not together. That's one half, right? That's what we're splitting off from up here. So you can function in 3D and remember not to take everything you hear or see as final. And to finally start seeing reality for what it is. If you two aren't together right now in this moment, somehow, some way, that wackadoodle circumstance still leads to you two getting back together and living a happy life together. It doesn't have to make logical sense. Reality doesn't have to make logical sense to us for this to work. So just because, let's just say 10 minutes ago, he told you, no, we're done, still don't want to be with you. Up here in your mind, you remember who you are. So when I was manifesting my relationship, who I was, who I put the focus on being, was the version of me in a loving, fulfilling, committed relationship. I kept all my focus there. When I would fall out, I would return. If I had an emotional day, thank you. Thank you very much. If I was having an emotional day where I was having a day where I was triggered a lot, I let the tears flow. I let it out of my system. I didn't try to make myself stop being emotional. We don't have to worry about being emotional, having our emotional reactions. At the end of the day, they don't really matter. What matters is what you're really thinking and believing up here. Now remember, you're not your thoughts. So you really don't even have to do anything to minimize the triggers. You'll notice that you're going to start, if not completely no longer reacting to things, or your return time from when you react to getting yourself back calm and centered is going to get shorter and shorter and shorter. And you'll notice that you get triggered less and less. So don't look at the triggers as something that's holding you back. Don't even give them that label. You're a human being. You were meant to have responses to things in your reality because we're meant to be here and experience things. The difference between you right now versus you before you knew about manifestation is, well, now you're awake. And now you know that your true self is just that awareness. From there, with your free will, you're choosing who you are, and you're choosing the version of you in the relationship. So what's happening in reality doesn't matter because it's leading you to you two being back together. So when you get yourself upset or when he says something that triggers you, I want you to remember, who are you first? Awareness, conscious awareness. You're that first. From there, you're choosing who you want to be. So the 3D body might have an emotional response, but you can still be very, very alert as being awareness. Now, that might not instantly make you feel better, but I'm going to say the phrase that I know some people don't like to hear, but nobody else has free will in your reality, including your specific person. There is no free will in 3D. None. Your consciousness is the same consciousness his is, the same consciousness I am, the same consciousness that everybody here with us tonight. We're all connected. And everyone, including me right now, is reflecting your state of consciousness. So the only thing that you have to sincerely prioritize is remembering which state you're choosing. And simply by making the conscious decision is you choosing your state. Just the conscious thought. Techniques are great. They're geared to help us get into the habit of being in a particular state of consciousness. Thank you very much. But you don't have to stress it. You just have to have the conscious thought. Remember, we hear so much about the subconscious mind. But sometimes that subconscious mind is talked about like it is this titanium vault that takes so much hard work to get through it. Not true. Your conscious thought, repetitive conscious thought, is what is feeding the subconscious. So the more you're in observer mode is simply, what's the stillness behind your eyes? Who's the thinker of the thoughts? That's what awareness is. That's all you really are. Everything else is what? Manifestation. Selections. You're not the thoughts you have, which is why we don't have to be afraid of getting triggered, having an emotional reaction. It's why it's not going to ruin your manifestation. So your focus is to remember which version of yourself that you're putting your awareness on. So out here, 3D, doesn't fucking matter. Deny your senses. He can be chirping in your ear all day long that it's over, and you know better. Even this breakup is still connected to you two getting back together. How everything connects out here isn't our job to worry about. That's why you don't have to be upset by the current circumstance, because it's still being maneuvered in to the manifestation. You might not be able to have peace with that right now. Listen, I'm talking from experience, and I manifested more than one breakup in my life, right? More than one, but I still got what I wanted. Still got the relationship, got my person. So you can take my words, please. I promise. This is just a moment in your journey. It's just a moment that isn't going to last very long. And you'll be able to come back and tell me that it worked. So you bring the focus back to who you want to be. Like I said, it's for me, I get a visual of my brain like just splitting in half. My imagination versus my senses. The senses help me walk and move and do things in reality. But the other half, my imagination, is running the show. My imagination dictates what I experience out here. Try to remember that. It'll work, my friend. Rachel, I have helped a very large amount of people get their specific person because you can, because it works. Just try to remember what you're experiencing in 3D might not always make sense. It might not always make sense. When I manifested breakups, believe me, I did not think they made sense. And I was not very happy about those breakups. And I cried a lot. I had a lot of spirals, a lot of emotional reactions, and I still got what I wanted. So it works. So try to remember what you experience in reality is momentary, very changeable, and sometimes just doesn't make sense, but it always leads to what you want. That's why the only thing we ever have to worry about is where is our awareness? Where is our focus? And it should be on who we want to be or just on the stillness. Just in observer mode. In observer mode, if anybody's like, what the hell is she talking about? Observer mode. Observer mode is just you observing the thoughts that come in through your mind. You practice that enough, you're going to notice that you really aren't the thoughts that come into your mind. As cuckoo as it sounds, they're not yours. They're just options. And those thoughts are options to versions of you or to other realities, however you want to look at it. They're options. They're all optional and they're all meaningless. Even yucky thoughts are meaningless until you give it meaning. And you have choice over what meaning you give things. We're all conditioned to think so literal, so logical. And that's what keeps us trapped in places we don't want to be. In relationships we don't want to be in realities we don't want to be in, jobs we don't want to be in. That's what keeps us trapped there. Fear. Because we take those thoughts so seriously, so logically. And you had power over those thoughts the whole time. Now you know it. Practice observer mode. Practice observing what you think when you think about the relationship. And really ask yourself, well, why do I believe that? Why do I really believe that? I'm just going to give you like a blanket example. Let's say you manifested the breakup and maybe you realize that for a large part of the relationship, you were always worried about being broken up with or worried that, he was going to cheat. Again, I'm just giving out an example. Well, why do you think that? Why did you fear that? Where did that come from? It came from stories, from beliefs, or experiences we had, and that we continued giving meanings to things, to circumstances, to experiences. Think about it. It's really just the meanings we give. So let's give this current breakup the meaning that it's still leading you two back together, because it will. You keep your focus on being the version of yourself that has the relationship she wants. And she can be living her happy life right now. Content and comfortable, because it's still leading you to where you want to go. Talking from experience. Yes, options. That just clicks. Good, because it's the truth. Good. That's why it clicks. All right, on this note, I must go. I warned y'all it's going to be a short one. I must go, but I am going to go live on YouTube in approximately 11 minutes. So you're welcome to come over to Manifesting with Kimberly on YouTube. We'll be live there, okay? To all of you that just followed me tonight, thank you very much. To those of you who joined the subscription, thank you very much. We have things coming for you. Yay. Okay? All right. Thank you all for the gifts, the hearts, the love. I appreciate it. And if you're facing circumstances that suck tits right now, let me tell you, they are so temporary. And if you keep focusing on who you want to be instead of who you think you are because of the circumstances, I'm telling you, mark my words, they'll change. They'll change. You keep the focus on who you want to be, the life you want to be living. And your reality is going to twist and turn and maneuver to get your ass there. Mark my words. Okay? All right. Hopefully I'll see some of you over on my YouTube channel.